This is the latest one animation which I've modified. This is an Aspen Models Blacksmith in O-scale. What we're going to do with this, and I'll show you how I go through it there, is I'll get his arm to swing with a hammer, I'll get his head to turn, and we're going to put a lead on the anvil, which will be the iron, hot iron coming out of the forge furnace that he's hammering to shape. So we'll get the head moving and the arm moving. First thing that we'll be doing is be cutting off his head, and you leave enough neck there so you can come down as close to the shoulders as you can when we're cutting this, and we'll get his head off, and then that bit that we've cut we'll put a bit of styrene on that and add to that. Tools that you're going to need for this carving out of the figure is like a Dremel. I've got my Dremel, I've got a couple of other little Dremels, and that's just a nice little handy one. And you've got a large round, a medium round, then a square to square off inside, and little smaller ones. And even some that you pick up from the dentist, old ones that he's got, they're still good for cutting. You go to the dentist just asking for some old tips. Where we've cut his head off there, we need to get in here and dimple that, maybe a little bit more. That's going to be a nice ball when we add some more styrene to there so that he turns, and then we'll use a lead pencil all the way around there to give it a dry lubricant as his neck turns. Next bit we've got to do is cut out his back. We need to make a slot, but we've got to leave meat or thickness there that we don't touch, because that's going to end up being a bearing for the wire running through into his arm. So we need to come across a bit more. So keep it in the centre and just leave at least about 3/32 of an inch in there, or 3 millimeters, and that. I'll make a start. Okay, without taking too much time, it's taken about 2 minutes to just get this right. So I've got a concave in there now, all the way around, down and around. We can cover this with a piece of paper or an old tea bag. Just cut a piece and that'll come across here with a little bit of glue on it there, and then you paint over it, you won't even see that. Next trick we've got to do is we've got to drill up. So we've got to come up here, so there's going to be two. One up this leg for his head, and one up that one for his arm to move. So we've got to pick the spot. And the trick with this, you can't really use a Dremel. You've got to do it by hand. You've got to keep going like that to line that up. It's got to come through there and up into there. So I've set the drill for the length that I'm just going to come through there nicely. But when I'm doing that, I've also got to turn and see that I'm coming through at a slight angle like that. Not straight up, but a slight angle coming in, just slight. And that, so we've got to make a start on that, and we just start just in the front of the heel, and that should clear that all the way up. We make a start there. That's about a 1 mil drill, and as I turn sideways, you can see that turning 90 degrees, I can keep the drill at the angle that I need, yet without breaking through his trousers. Next we've got to, the next part, we've got to get his head wire down. So I've started actually from the neck and we're going to go down. You can see the angle of that. I'm going down to his leg, and so that one will be the second wire coming up. And turning one and off. Down he goes. So he's having a bit of a look there, and then he's got to turn his head so he doesn't get a spark in his eye. So I've got a double movement there with his head and then the arm moving. Inside there we've got bearings in either shoulder. So I've got a shaft runs through that's glued into his arm, and that runs through two bearings. And that's I've got some photographs that I've taken, which are stills, which is going to show this. You can see the hollowed back there where I've got the two wires running up, one to his head, which is up his left leg, and it turns his head, and one up his right leg, which is working his arm. And the mechanism that I've made in there to get that to work. This is O-scale, this is an Aspen Models Blacksmith. We can cover the back up there with a little piece of paper, glue that around, and then paint the figure, and you wouldn't even know that's there.